Welcome to the Zotero workshop. I'm Jade Madrid, a librarian at Lowinger Library at Georgetown University. Today we're going to be learning all about Zotero, which is a game-changing citation management tool that will help you collect resources, including books and articles, and also to create bibliographies. So today in the workshop, we're going to be following along with this guide, which is linked down at the bottom. We're going to go through the pre-workshop requirements, which includes downloading and registering for Zotero. Then I'll show you how to save citations. And in the case of articles, how to actually save the PDFs and annotate them and how to organize your library. And then last, we will create bibliographies. So I'll show you how to do that both in Word and in Google Docs. Okay, so let's get started with the pre-workshop requirements. The first step is to make sure and update your computer. So if your browser needs to be updated, if Word needs to be updated, if your Mac needs to be updated, please go ahead and do that first. The second step is to register for a Zotero account on the website. So I'll open that up here. You can see you create a username. You can use your Georgetown email or another email and a password. And once you've done that, you need to go in your email and validate your account. The next step is downloading. So you can see here that basically Zotero is recognizing that I'm on a Windows laptop that's using Windows and I'm using Chrome. So I am downloading once here and I'm downloading the connector over here. So you need to download twice. That's very important. Okay, the next step is to open up Zotero and add your username and password into Zotero. And this is going to make sure that everything you do is saved into the cloud and that you don't lose anything. This is another important step. So you're going to go ahead and open Zotero. This might look a little different in the Mac, but there are screenshots on the guide. I'm going to go to Edit, Settings. I'm here in sync already, and then you can see I have my username there. So when you first do this, your username and password will be blank and you enter them in. And when you do that, there's no save button or anything. You enter that in and close it out. But if you open it again, you should be able to see your username is saved. The last step is to pin the Zotero extension into your browser's toolbar. So that's normally with the puzzle piece. And I can see in this case, I do have the Zotero connector already pinned. But if it was somewhere else, I would click on the pin and make sure that it was pinned. Okay, great. So now I'm going to go ahead and open up my Zotero. Okay, here we go. So you can see my Zotero is, already full of resources. I'll give you a little tour. You can see here, this is a book, and here's all the bibliographic information. You can see this is a book section, so a chapter in a book. Here, a website. Here is a video. And let's try and find an article. Okay, so when you see the article here, you see the little arrow next to it, and when I click there, that's where the full text PDF is being saved. So let's go ahead and create a folder now. So I'm going to click on this icon here, New Collection, and I'm going to say Workshop. And I see that because I was clicking on my first folder, it thought I wanted to make a subfolder, but I went ahead and said no, in my library. So I've created a folder. If I wanted to create a subfolder, I could click on this and do sub-collection or go ahead and click on the icon again. A best practice is to click on the folder you want to add things to. And this is your organization system, so you could do a folder for a class, a folder for a paper, or you could even do folders for different sub-themes in your paper. So in this case, I created a folder named Workshop. I'm going to have that highlighted, and I'm going to go to the library website. So the first thing we're going to do is add 1 or 2 books to our folder because there's just a little bit of a different process. So I want to make sure everything's working adding books. So you can put keywords, you can put a title or an author, whatever you want. The important thing is that we want to do a book. Now, you can see here on my right, up here at the right, I have a file folder. So I'm just going to click on that and show you. Basically, I could select all 10 results that I'm seeing and add them to my Zotero. But the way I would advise you to do it is to click on one book. And you see I have a blue book icon at the top right. I'm going to click on the blue book icon. And I can see here that it went into my workshop folder. And I'm going to open Zotero, and there it is. There's the book. So it's saved. Because of copyright and just the way ebooks work, it will never save, though this book, you can see it's a physical book and an ebook, it will never save a digital copy of the ebook. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save a second book. And there I can see it saved. It's worth noting that anything that comes in here, all the information in here is just as good as the source that it's coming from. So if there's any sort of mistake, whether it be punctuation, capitalization, if there's anything missing in here, you can always just click on it and you can add things. So let's go ahead and add an article. So to access an article, I'm going to go over here and click on the peer reviewed journals filter on the left side. I'm going to click on the article that I want. And you can see up here at the top, Zotero is prompting me, it thinks it's a book. So to actually save an article in a PDF, you need to go a little further in the database until you're seeing the PDF. So in this case, I'm going to click on this blue database link. Now that I'm in here, I'm going to see a white page at the top right. And when I click on that, I see it saving in my folder. There's the title and there's the PDF. So there it is. I'm going to go ahead and save another one quickly. So I clicked on the article in Hoya search. It's opening the database. Now I'm prompted with the white icon. I saved it and I can see the title and the PDF saved. Okay, great. So now that we've saved a couple books and a couple articles, I'll show you some more things here in Zotero. Just like with the books, you can edit any of these fields within the article. One popular thing to change is, say you were citing a book section, and in a book that each chapter had a different title and a different author. So if that's the case, you would change book to book section. You would manually type in the title. You would maybe change this to editor, manually type in the author, and manually type in the page range. If there's if you're in a database, a website, YouTube, any of these things, you should get prompted to ingest it into your Zotero. But if, say, you have interviews or something you created yourself that you want to manually enter, you do this plus symbol here and say it was an interview, and then you would type everything in, because you're going to want to have everything in Zotero. So when you write your paper, it creates all of your citations and the bibliography is accurate. There's a new feature of Zotero that you can annotate PDFs within Zotero. So in order to do that, go ahead and double click on a PDF. So you can see here is my Zotero and here is my reader. This is where I can highlight things in my PDF and even create notes from my highlights. So I'm going to click on this A, where I can, when I hold my mouse over it, I can see this is the highlight text option, and I can see I'm highlighting yellow. So you can see as I highlight text, it creates all my annotations on the left page. Now, if I wanted to create a note of my annotations, I would go over to the right side. Oh, here it is, the yellow sticky note. And I could create an item note from these annotations. So If I click on the plus sign and I say add item note from annotations, then it's going to have everything I highlighted with the citation. So that there's other options too. You can create sticky notes on top. You can highlight in different colors. Another notes feature in Zotero is, so let's go to a book here. Another option with Zotero is to create sticky notes at this level. So over here on the right, I can click on this note. I can say add notes, and I really recommend this for like organizing. So I could say, for example, I need to check out this book or I need to reread it. And what's nice about these notes is that they're searchable up here. So I could say, what was it I need to check out? And then that will come up. You can also see the annotations note I made is there. Okay, so this is Zotero. Now we're going to move into Word and create our in-text citations and our bibliography. So you're going to want to open Word. You should have a Zotero entry at the top of your menu. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Zotero. So you have to imagine, say, you have your quote and so on. And then you want to insert your in-text citation. You're going to click on Add Edit Citation. And the first time you do this in any document, it's going to ask you what citation style you'd like to use. So if you're doing footnotes and you want to do Chicago, or if you're doing MLA, in this case, I'm going to do APA. Now, once I see this, and sometimes you might need to toggle through your screen in order to find this, this is where I start to type any of the information from my Zotero that I want to include. So say this is the first. I go ahead and hit enter. Then say I have another in-text citation I want to do. Okay, so then say you've written your entire paper and you want to create your bibliography, you go ahead and do Add Edit Bibliography. And that's going to create the bibliography from the citations that you added. Now say you go back and you keep editing your paper. So I went ahead and added another citation, and then that was added to my bibliography. One thing you're going to need to do at the end, the very end, is spot check your bibliography and see if there's any typos or any errors. So just to keep in mind, if you do that, so say I came in here and I changed how something was spelled, but then I added another citation, this would refresh to how it was. So the other option you have is to go into Zotero and then edit directly within Zotero, and then you can always refresh. If you want to change your citation style, like say you said APA, but you want to change to Chicago, you just go here to Document Preferences. So I'm going to go ahead, in this case, I'll change to Chicago style. You can see it went to the footnotes up at the top, and then I have the bibliography. So that's in Word. Now we're going to go to Google Docs. So Google Docs is similar. Everything you do in Google Docs can take a couple seconds longer, and sometimes there can be some glitches and you might need to close your document and open it again, FYI. So in this case, I'm going to click on Zotero on the top menu. I'm going to do Add Edit Citation. It's going to ask me which citation style again. And I'm ready to go. If it asks you for a Google sign-in, that sometimes happens, it's asking you for which Drive account you're in. I'm going to add another, and I'm going to show you how to add a page number with this one. Okay, so in this case, if I want to add a page number, I click on the name, and I add the page number, and then I hit enter. As long as you can see this, you're still editing your citation. So go ahead and hit enter again. And now I am going to insert or add bibliography. And there we go. And in this case, I see an example. I don't think that this URL should probably be in the citation. So again, I could just edit it right here, or I could go in Zotero, edit it, and then refresh my document. The last thing I'll say is that the research guide includes more information. For example, if you want to create a group, if you want other tips and tricks, this is a resource for you. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy using Zotero. If you have questions, feel free to email me. Thank you, and have a great day.